Hello, Professor.
Hello. Okay, so here, so yesterday we talked about the unit circle using the angle. So today we talk about radian value. So
Hello, Professor.
hello, good morning. So let's review the our angle value first. So this is 0 and 180 and the 270. Oh, I forgot 90 here. Okay, so based on that, now we determine this is the radius 1. So the unit circle. So do you remember this order pair? This order pair becomes root 3/2, comma 1/2. This becomes 1/2.
root
Yeah.
3/2.
And the initial point become 1, 0. This point 0, 1. And this point
-1/2 a square root of 3/2.
Yeah, so this becomes negative root 3/2, and then
Negative root of 3/2 and 1/2.
And this point negative 1, 0. So this point negative root 3/2, negative 1/2. So negative 1/2, negative root 3/2, 0, negative 1, 1/2, negative root 3/2, root 3/2, and negative 1/2. Okay, so you should know all this value. Okay, so when you look at, so I don't want you to memorize it, but if you look carefully, then you know these all these values are repeating root 3/2 and then 1/2, and this one is kind of a switch the location. But anyway, so 30, 60, 90 case is always either root 3/2 or 1/2. Okay, then. So we also know that one more fact, the ending angle is 0. Then you are looking at 30, 60, and 90 unit circle, right? Okay, but now here. So, you know, you don't have to always do this unit circle. If you understand this kind of property, for example. So I'm asking maybe cosine, so maybe 210. Okay, so if I ask you cosine 210, then you can measure this way. So on the plane here, so 210 means right here. How do I know? Because 210 is right next to 180. So right here. Then now I'm asking, so in this line, is it closer to x-axis or y-axis? X-axis, right? X-axis, which means at this point, the order pair becomes negative root 3/2 and then negative 1/2, because closer means always. So closer means always root 3/2. Okay, but the reason I put both a negative because the angle located on third quadrant. That's the only reason. Okay, then another example, if I give you, and then so therefore, Now, after finding this coordinate, so cosine 210, you can conclude negative root 3 over 2 like that. Okay, then now another one. So if I give you maybe sine 300. Okay, so 300 means if you don't know how to analyze it, then you can go here. So 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, and 210, 240, 270, or 300 right here. Then now you don't need any other line anymore because after finding 300, now same thing. You to analyze it whether this line is close to y-axis or x-axis. So is this line close to y-axis or x-axis? Y-axis, right?
Yeah.
Which means following closer means root 3 over 2. So this time y will have the root 3 over 2. So which means x become 1 over 2 no matter what. And then it's a bottom here, so negative root 3 over 2. And since the bottom value, the y value represents sine, therefore this answer becomes negative root 3 over 2. Okay, that will be the answer. So you can analyze this way too. But in this case, you must understand 30, 60, 90 unit circle, the value is only 1 over 2 or root 3 over 2, unless points are on the either x-axis or y-axis. If the point are on the x-axis or y-axis, then you know that this point become 1, 0, this becomes 0, 1, this become negative 1, 0, and this becomes 0, negative 1. Okay? So it should be really clear. And then also please understand those values on the x and y axis too. Okay? Okay. Now the 45, 45, 1. So 45, 45, 90. So 45, 45, 91 is a little bit easier. So now here and here. So one thing is I don't care those point value because we reviewed those points from the 30, 60, 90 already. So we only care about this point on the 45, 45, 91. Because 45, 45, 90 means an isosceles triangle. So the value are same, the x and y are same value. So this become root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and negative root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and negative root 2 over 2, negative root 2 over 2. This become root 2 over 2, and then negative root 2 over 2 like that. Okay, so 45, 45, 90 environment, you only memorize this, the value, which is root 2 over 2 here. Okay, so then as you see, the ending is 5 all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if I ask you maybe, what is the cosine 225? Okay, then 225 is right here. So now that if you know this one, or even though you don't know that, this third quadrant and the 45, 45, 91 always have the only root 2 over 2. Then now if you know this is on the third quadrant, then you can put minus sign here. Okay, even sine 135. So no matter what, the answer become root 2 over 2, but you just figure out the sign. So 135 is right here. The y is positive, so just put positive, or just leave as is, root over 2. Okay, that's how you can analyze it. So even though you don't know the you don't want to draw the unit circle, the same thing.
Professor,
Yeah.
I have a question. So the answer was gonna be any of those points on the circle?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, now I just give you the question, or maybe this side is better. So cosine 45. Then you know the 45 means right here. Oh, ending is 5. And then x is positive, so you can write root 2 over 2. Make sense? So even though you don't draw the unit circle, as long as you know that, so ending is 5 angle, like a 45, 45, multiply 45, then the value is always root 2 over 2. That's the only value you have to remember. 30, 60, 90 case, you need to memorize root 3 over 2 and then 1 over 2. So that's the only difference here. Okay. And now I can begin the unit circle with a radian value. Okay, so here we just call this a unit circle, right? Unit circle means this radius value becomes 1 here. Okay. Now, what's the circumference of this circle? Circumference?
2.
2 pi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 pi, because the formula is C is always 2 pi r, but r equal to 1, therefore total circumference become 2 pi. Okay, which means the circumference of this half circle, we always call arc. So arc of the half circle will be
1 pi.
arc become pi here, right? Because half circle, so arc of 180 become pi. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then now I'm gonna just, so I can say this is a 0, and this is pi. Okay, then now this arc value becomes, this arc become pi over 2. Make sense? Because this is half of pi, right?
Yeah.
So arc become pi over 2. And then now whole circumference become 2 pi. So if you find out the arc from 0 to until here, there will be, so arc 270 becomes 3 pi over 2. Make sense?
Could you go over that again?
Arc 270, so we know arc of half circle becomes pi, right?
Yeah.
Now arc of 90 degree become pi over 2 because it's half of pi. Now we beyond pi, then we just going until 270 here, until here. We know this arc, so this arc equal to pi over 2 because of this is the same as this arc. Make sense?
All right.
No? You know that 0 to 90 become pi over 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there can be, so this is pi over 2, then that's another pi over 2, then
All
this
right, I know
also
what you mean.
become another pi over 2. And they also last pi over 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then until here, we have 1, 2, 3 of them, so become 3 pi over 2.
All right.
Okay, and now, so complete one cycle becomes 2 pi because now it repeats 4 times, so it's 2 pi. And then we already know that the complete circle circumference becomes 2 pi. So now we can make it 0 pi over 2 pi. That's the 3 pi over 2 and 2 pi basically. Okay? So far so good?
Yeah.
Okay. Then now we want to go to 30, 60, 90, 90 unit circle again. Okay. So we will talk about 0 to pi first. Now, when we just make this arc and this arc, we just say each one is pi over 2, right? Now, we cut how many pieces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different pieces. Therefore, what should be arc for this one?
Can't see what you're pointing.
So, this part, arc of this part.
1/3 pi over 2.
1/3 pi over 2? How could you get 1/3 pi over 2?
Because it's a third. They cut into thirds from 0 to 90 degrees, and 0 to 90 is pi.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay. So 1/3 of pi over 2, which means if you figure this out, then what do you get? Pi over 6, right?
Pi over 6, yeah.
Yeah, pi over 6. Yeah. So this radian will become pi over 6. And now this is pi over 6, then this is another pi over 6, right?
Yeah.
So 2 pi over 6. So 2 pi over 6 becomes pi over 3. Just we simplify.
Yeah.
And this becomes 3 pi over 6. You simplify pi over 2. This becomes 4 pi over 6, which means 2 pi over 3. Now this is the 5 pi over 6. And 6 pi over 6 become pi.
Yeah.
Make sense to you? Okay. Then this become 7 pi over 6. Now 8 pi over 6, which means 4 pi over 3. So 9 pi over 6 become 2 pi over 3 pi over 2. 10 pi over 6, which means 5 pi over
5
3.
pi over 3.
Now 11 pi over 6, basically. Okay?
Yeah.
So I assume you all know that each point order pair, and then now we want to analyze sine and cosine value using radian from now on. Okay, so I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller so you can see unit circle. How can you analyze cosine pi over 3? So did you find the answer for cosine pi over 3?
It's 1/2.
1/2, right? So 1/2. So pi over 3 is right here. So if you remember order pair at the 60 degree, the 60 means basically pi over 3. Then that become pi over 2, I mean 1 over 2. And what about sine 5 pi over 3?
It's 1/2.
It is not 1 over 2.
It's sine or
Sine 5 pi over 3.
pi over 3.
Yeah, 5 pi over 3.
We don't know. Yeah, I see.
So 5 pi over 3 is right here, right?
Yeah, it's negative 3/2.
Yeah, negative root 3 over 2.
3/2. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the same situation. Now, let's evaluate sine and cosine value without having the unit circle. So, I'm going to give maybe cosine 7 pi over 6. Then, you can just count them here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Or 7 is right here. Same situation, you analyze whether this line is close to x-axis or y-axis. What do you think?
X-axis.
X-axis. X-axis means x value will be root 3 over 2. Now that's on the third quadrant. So answer become negative root 3 over 2 basically. Make sense?
So if it was close to the y-axis, that
Then
means the
y
root would
value
be
become
5 pi over 3.
so y value become root 3 over 2, such as I'm going to give you one questions. Maybe I mean the sine this time. Sine 2 pi over 3. Okay. Whenever you are given like this way, then you can do sine 4 pi over 6. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, then that fourth piece is here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is right here. As you see, this point close to y-axis compared to x-axis. So y value become root 3 over 2. And then to the second quadrant, so y become positive. So that should be the answer. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, then let's practice some problem here. So I'm gonna just show the unit circle and then put some questions. So number 1, Okay, so practice those 6 questions. So I'm gonna give you hopefully 5 minutes enough, but if not, then I can extend more. So try to solve those problems. Okay, so what's the answer for cosine 5 pi over 6?
1/2.
1 over 2. Great job. So you understand why cosine 5 pi over 3 is the 1 over 2? If not, just let us know.
I don't really understand it.
Okay, so 5 pi over 3 is right here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one order pair becomes 1 over 2 and then negative root 3 over 2. Because when we just go back to here, so this is the basically 300 degree or now 5 pi over 2. Then the order pair become like this, 1 over 2 and then negative root 3 over 2. Okay, and then x value represent cosine theta, y value represent sine theta. Therefore, you are taking this time, the question was what? Cosine, therefore you're taking x value. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, now what's the cosine 11 pi over 6? So cosine 11 pi over 6,
Root 3 over 2.
what do you say?
Root 3 over 2.
Yeah, root 3 over 2. Because the point is right here. So this one order pair becomes root 3 over 2 comma negative 1 over 2. That's one way. Or you can also analyze this one close to x-axis compared to y-axis, which means x has root 3 over 2 and then y has 1 over 2 like that. Okay. So far so good, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kelvin, you get it?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Heidi?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, Andrew? Okay, now sine 5 pi over 6.
1 over 2.
1 over 2. 5 pi over 6 right here. So this one order pair becomes negative root 3 over 2 and then 1 over 2. Also, you can analyze this point closer to x-axis compared to y-axis. So y will become 1 over 2, x will become root 3 over 2. Okay, then now, what is the sine 4 pi over 3?
Negative root 3 over 2.
Negative root 3 over 2. Because this point is right here. Yes? Okay, now, what's the cosine 2 pi over 3?
Negative 1 over 2.
Yeah, negative 1 over 2. Then sine pi over 6.
I don't find pi over 6 and this. I don't know.
Sine pi over 6.
Oh, I see now. Root 3, sine pi.
Yeah, sine pi over 6.
1 over 2.
1 over 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that should be the answer for this problem. Okay, then now, I'm
Okay.
gonna, any
Okay,
question?
as this one now, how we can conclude this method? Like, I want to say, like, when the angle is close to the x-axis,
What do you mean?
have like we can conclude as this I can for example, when the angle is close to the x-axis,
X is close to x-axis.
x-axis, the sine is √3/2.
X become √3/2. Yes.
√3/2.
Yeah.
And the cosine 1/2. Right?
I don't understand what you're asking again. So just give us an example.
Okay, if we have like some like even it look like right like a roll, because when you see this one,
I cannot hear you.
one of the anytime when the angle is close to the x-axis,
Yeah.
the sine is 1/2.
Sine is 1/2. Yes.
And cosine is √2.
Yeah.
√3/2.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay. And when the angle is close to the y-axis,
Yeah.
the cosine is 1/2.
Yeah.
And the sine is √3/2. That
Yes,
means
that's
like
true.
it is vice versa.
Yes.
Look like.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, then let's move on to 45, 45, 91. Actually. So 45, 45, 91, we can make 4 different branches. As I keep on telling you, I don't care these 4 points because they are repeating from the 30, 60, 90 unit circle, right? Okay. Then now, so when we compare from 0 to pi, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different pieces. Good. Therefore, this radian becomes, can you define the radian arc of this one?
Pi over what?
Pi over 4, right?
Yeah.
Then this become whole thing become 2 pi over 4. That's why you can simplify pi over 2, and then now 1, 2, 3. So this become 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, and then now this becomes 5 pi over 4, and 6 pi over 4, and then 7 pi over 4. And we know that the order pair value, they're all √2/2.
Why is it √2/2 and the previous one was √2/3?
Because this is isosceles triangle case, we using the Pythagorean theorem, we found the value. So if
it's based on how many pieces are in from the 0 to 90 degrees?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So
Okay.
last one was 3, that's why it's over 3. This one is 2,
Yeah.
that's why it's over 2.
Now, we need to figure out the sign. I didn't figure out the sign yet. So this case, second quadrant, x is negative, so become that's the negative √2/2 and then √2/2. Now third quadrant, both are negative. And the fourth quadrant, x is positive, y is negative here. Okay. So that's how we can generate them. Okay, now, so let's practice some questions using this unit circle. What's the cosine 3 pi over 4?
And
Cosine 3 pi over 4.
Is it radical 2 over 2?
negative root
Yeah.
2 over 2.
But this become negative because 3 pi over 4 located on second quadrant. So x become negative. So cosine 3 pi over 4 become negative root 2 over 2. What is the sine? 7 pi over 4.
Negative root 2 over 2.
Yeah, negative root 2 over 2. And then what about cosine 7 pi over 4?
Root 2 over 2.
Yeah, so root 2 over 2. So do you see whenever we have denominator value equal to 4, no matter what, answer is root 2 over 2, even sine and cosine both, and you figure out whether each one sign become positive or negative. That's it, basically. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope you get it. And then, so whenever the value is divisible by 3, by 6, then you can using the 30, 60, 90 unit circle. The angle is divisible by 45, then you can use 45, 45, 90 unit circle basically. Okay, so that should be really clear. Make sense?
Yeah.
Can you repeat one time again?
So
I want to take
the
notes.
angle value is, so angle value is multiple of 6. I want to say actually, I'm going to say divisible, basically divisible by either 30 or 60. You can use 30, 60, 90 unit circle. Okay, but you know that 30 is already a factor of 60, so don't worry about 60. Just divide by 30, then you can using the 30, 60, 90 unit circle. So same thing, so angle is divisible by 45 degree, then you can utilize 45, 45, 90 unit circle. Okay?
Okay.
So any questions about that? No? Okay.
I'm taking notes.
Say one more time clearly.
Okay, I said just give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, then what I want to do, so this time we only analyze sine and cosine trigonometry value, right? But we actually have 6 different trigonometry value. So we cover sine theta and then cosine theta already. And now besides these two, we also have a tangent theta, and then secant theta, cosecant theta, and then cotangent theta. Okay. So tangent theta means sine theta over cosine theta. Okay. And secant theta means 1 over cosine theta. Cosecant theta means 1 over sine theta. Cotangent means 1 over tangent theta. Another word, cosine theta over sine theta basically. So now, so if I give one example, so sine pi over 6, so just say angle is pi over 6, so theta equal to pi over 6. So let's figure out all 6 different trigonometry function value. Then sine pi over 6, 1 over 2. Make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. The cosine pi over 6, root 3 over 2. Then tangent pi over 6 means sine pi over 6 over cosine pi over 6. Therefore, 1 over 2 over root 3 over 2. So it is complex fraction form, and then denominator, they are same to each other, so you can cancel them out. So this become 1 over root 3, or you are rationalizing, then you got the root 3 over 3 basically. Make sense? So again, so sine pi over 6 become 1 over 2, cosine pi over 6 become root 3 over 2, tangent pi over 6 become root 3 over 3, or 1 over root 3. But of course, we prefer this answer because it got rationalized on denominator. Okay, so now secant pi over 6 becomes 1 over cosine pi over 6. Therefore, this become 1 over root 3 over 2. Or you can think just making opposite. Just flip up and down. Then this becomes 2 over root 3. So rationalizing, that you will get 2 root 3 over 3. Now cosecant pi over 6 becomes 1 over sine pi over 6. Therefore, 2 over 1, which is 2. And cotangent cotangent pi over 6, which means you can do 1 over tangent theta pi over 6, but it is much better to the cosine pi over 6 over sine pi over 6, which is the root 3 over 2 over 1 over 2. Therefore, root 3 should be the answer. Okay? So, make sense to you? All right, then I'm gonna give you maybe couple theta value. It can be given either angle or radian. Just figure out 6 trigonometry function value. So, number 1. So theta equal to 150 degree. And number 2, theta equal to, so 3 pi over 4. Okay. So think about these two angle value first, and then we can, I can give you more question later. So I'm gonna assign 10 minutes to figure out 6 trigonometry value based on theta equal to 150 and theta equal to 3 pi over 4. So sine 150.
No.
1/2.
150 is 5 pi over 6.
1/2.
1/2.
1/2, right? 1/2. Okay, what about cosine 150?
Negative root 3 over 2.
Yeah, yeah, negative root 3 over 2. Tangent 150.
Negative root 3 over 3.
So negative root 3 over 3 because basically it becomes 1 over negative root 3 since the denominators are equal to each other, and you're rationalizing, then this come out negative root 3 over 3. Secant 150. So what's the secant 150?
I don't know.
I didn't hear you. Secant 150. Mohammed, did you get that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, secant 150 means 1 over cosine 150, which means we flip cosine 150 value, so negative 2 over root 3. You're rationalizing then negative 2 root 3 over 3 basically. Now secant 150, cosecant 150. Kelvin, did you get cosecant 150?
I think nobody got that one.
Nobody get it?
Yeah,
So
because
yeah.
we didn't complete everything. That's why.
What do you mean complete everything?
Yeah, because I start by the second part. This one I did it. I don't know if
Can you clarify your questions?
I said we didn't like the time was not enough. We didn't complete this one.
Can you show your screen because I don't understand what you're talking about.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Never mind.
Okay. So cosecant 150 means 1 over sine 150, right?
Yeah.
It means
1 over
2
1 half.
over 1 equal to 2. Since sine is 1 over 2, you flip up. Okay, then that becomes cosecant 150. Now cotangent 150 means, so cosine 150
It's 3 over
over
radical 3.
sine 150, which means, now we can see, where is that? Oh, it's acting really weird all of a sudden. So cosine, which is the negative root 3 over 2 over 1 over 2. Now it has same denominator, so I'm going to cancel them out. So become negative root 3 over 1. So become negative root 3. I mean, so you need to practice a lot to find out those 6 trigonometry value, because this is pre-calculus, which means when you are taking any calculus class, you should be ready. And this topic will come out, I think, calculus 3. However, you should know that anyway. So especially you are doing like architect major or in physics major, then you will encounter this topic even earlier, like calculus 2 topic. So please make sure you understand how to find those 6 trigonometry values. Okay, number 2 here, sine 3 pi over 4.
Root 2 over 2.
Yeah, root 2 over 2. Now what's the cosine 3 pi over 4?
Negative root 2 over 2.
Yeah, negative root 2 over 2. Tangent 3 pi over 4.
Negative 1.
Negative 1. Secant 3 pi over 4.
Negative root 2.
Negative root 2. Okay. Cosecant 3 pi over 4.
Root 2.
Root 2. So cotangent 3 pi over 4.
Negative 1.
Negative 1. So
Everything correct?
yeah,
Wow.
do you all understand these answers?
Yeah.
Yes? Babakar, you understand? Babakar? Okay, so now trigonometry, we have so many topics, but we have only a couple more weeks left. So hopefully I can cover everything, but anyway. So now, any unit circle is given. So far you figure out that I measure so I'm gonna count angle from this direction here, right? Like a pi over 6, pi over 3, pi over 2, 2 pi over 3, 5 pi over 6, pi, 7 pi over 6, 4 pi over 3, 3 pi over 2, 5 pi over 3, so 11 pi over 6 and 2 pi. So we are measuring angle counterclockwise direction. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the positive angle direction. Okay, positive angle direction. But sometimes the question can give it to you negative angle direction, which means opposite direction. So going this direction will be negative angle direction. Make sense? So for example, so I'm gonna just throw the unit circle one more time and then just give you a little bit more detailed explanation. But this time I'm only using 36 to 91. 45 one also the same concept. So pi over 6, pi over 3, pi over 2, 2 pi over 3, 5 pi over 6, pi, and 7 pi over 6, 4 pi over 3, and 3 pi over 2, and 5 pi over 3, 11 pi over 6, and 2 pi right there, right? So that's basically positive angle direction. Now, negative angle, we could just go this direction. So this become negative pi over 6, negative pi over 3, negative pi over 2, negative 2 pi over 3, negative 5 pi over 6, negative pi, negative 7 pi over. Okay, we have a little bit technical problem. Okay. Okay, so 7 pi over 6. This is the negative 4 pi over 3, negative 3 pi over 2, negative 5 pi over 3, negative 11 pi over 6, and negative 2 pi. So you know what I did here, right? So the order pair value are exactly same though, but we are going to counterclockwise direction, then that become positive angle, and clockwise direction, then become negative angle. So sometimes I ask you, what is the sine negative 2 pi over 3? Original 2 pi over 3 was here, but negative 2 pi over 3 is right here. Therefore, answer become negative root 3 over 2 like that. Are you with me?
No.
No?
No.
So again, counterclockwise direction is positive angle and
Yeah.
clockwise is negative angle.
Yeah.
So I'm asking sine negative 2 pi over 3. Then you need to find out which angle represent negative 2 pi over 3, which is here. Make sense?
Yeah.
That's why the answer becomes negative root 3 over 2. Is it clear to everyone? Babakar? Andrew?
So basically, you're saying that counterclockwise,
That's right.
counterclockwise is negative. I mean, counterclockwise is positive and clockwise is negative.
Yeah, that's right. But as you see, they share exactly same order pair though.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason, you know, whatever we have order pair here, there will be negative angle value as well. Okay, so when you just count, counterclockwise positive angle, clockwise negative angle, that's it. But they share exactly same order pair. Okay. Then now I'm gonna just spend about 15 more minutes, and then rest of the time I can get some question from you. Okay. Now, what if theta is not belong to either 30, 60, 90, or 45, 45, 90 angles. Then unfortunately, we have to use calculator. So for example, now I'm gonna give you maybe sine 37. So sine 37, the ending angle is also not neither 0 nor 5, right? So you need to type into the calculator. So, okay. Now, do you have your own calculator?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna show TI-83 case first. Okay, so of course we have turned on the calculator first. I'm gonna turn it on, and then now each calculator has different side about the mode. So mode is right here. That's the mode. I'm gonna click that, and you will see. I think third row, it shows the radian or degree. So far, mine is set up as radian, but whenever you measure angle, then you switch to degree. Otherwise, you won't get the correct answer. But if I give you pi value, like a pi over 6 or pi over 4 like that, then you must set up as a radian. It's based on the given angle value. You have to switch either degree or radian. So this time we are measure angle, so I'm gonna switch to degree. So now, before it was blinked on the radian, now it's blinking degree, right? Okay, then now you just move and then all the calculators show that sine, cosine, tangent button. So this calculator has those buttons are right here. So sine, cosine, tangent. Okay. So this time we are measuring sine. So click the sine first. Then type 37. So 37 and then enter. Then you will get the answer like this. 0.601 like that. So I can round 0.602. Make sense? And then even cosine too. So cosine 37, enter, then you will get this value. Okay, so 0.7986, so I can round 0.799. So anyway, that's kind of a key point. So if given angle value is not belong to 30, 60, 90, nor 45, 45, 90, then you only choice is you have to use calculator. That's the only option. Okay. So this case we got the answer 0.608. So that's the answer. Then same thing. So cosine 37 case, then we will get 0.799. So what about tangent? So if you have your calculator, then measure tangent 37 as well. The tangent case 0.754. Okay, so I'm gonna show this to you. So tangent. But so sine, cosine, tangents are easier. But what if we are doing cosecant, secant, and cotangent? Okay, so cosecant 37, which means this is the 1 over sine 37. So you can measure. So I stop sharing for a second and show you how to do. So cosecant means you are typing 1 divide sine 37. So you see that 1 over sine 37, right? That value represent cosecant 37. Enter, then you will get 1.662. Okay. So this gives 1.662. Then secant 37 means now I can make 1 over cosine, which is 1 over cosine 37. So 1 over cosine 37, then you can get 1.252. And now cotangent case, you have two choices. So cotangent 37 case, you can make cosine 37 over sine 37, or you can do 1 over tangent 37. But this case, we have calculated tangent button already. We better using 1 over tangent, but let's measure both of them. So I'm gonna start sharing. So first of all, here cosine 37, the sine 37. So you see that cosine 37 over sine 37, then the value become 1.327. Now, if I'm making 1 over tangent 37, 1 over tangent 37, we got the exactly same answer, because cotangent means cosine over sine over 1 over tangent. So 1 over 327. So the answer becomes so far 1 over 327. So again, if the angle value is not belong to either neither 360 90 degree or 45 45 90, then we are using the calculator. Okay, now another one. So the radius is not equal to 1. Okay, so such as where's my it disappeared again. Okay, no, not this one. Okay, so I'm gonna just make one example. So on the plane graph here, so given point is 5,2. As you see, 5,2. You're using the Pythagorean theorem. I'm sure it won't come out radius equal to 1. So this is r. Then r square equal to 5 square plus 2 square, which is the 25 plus 4 equal to 29. So r equal to root 29. So as you see, square root 29 is not equal to 1, right? You know what I'm talking about? Can I accept no comment is positive sign?
Can you go over it again? Yeah, can you go over it again? Hello? Professor.
I think he left the call. I don't know. Yeah, I think he left.
Technical issue. So, okay. So I'm gonna reshare the screen here. Okay. So now 5 and 2 here, then as you see, so let me see my work on the right side. The work is not saved. Okay. So I'm sure this case of radius not equal to 1. So using the pith, so I'm gonna say this is the radius r. Then let me check. Okay. So r squared equal to 5 squared plus 2 squared, which means r equal to 25 plus 4. So that is 29. Sorry. So therefore r equal to root 29. And we know that root 29 is not equal to 1. So it is not unicircle anymore. Okay. So this case, we want to draw the right triangle. So right triangle like this here. Analyze it. So now this is 5 and this is 2. We know the radius becomes root 29. Okay. So from now on, I will let you know how to evaluate trigonometry value based on the triangle shape. So we have any triangle. A, B, and I'm gonna say h. Or I just say x-axis and the y-axis, that will be better. Okay, then sine, based on this angle, sine theta equal to always y value over hypotenuse. And cosine theta means x over hypotenuse, and tangent theta equal to y over x, basically. Okay, so that particular case, we can make five to root 29. Therefore, sine theta equal to 2 over root 29, which means 2 root 29 over 29. That will be sine theta. And cosine means 5 over root 29. Which means 5 root 29 over 29. And then tangent theta means 2 over 5. Why? Because of y over x, like that. So far, so good?
Yeah.
So you understand what I did, right? Okay, then now, so from here, we can also analyze cosecant, secant, and then cotangent as well. So, you know, cosecant theta means 1 over sine theta. So you can switch up and down here. Then root 29 over 2. That will be cosecant theta. Now, secant theta means 1 over cosine theta. So switch up and down again. Then this become root 29 over 5. The last one, cotangent theta, there will be x over y, therefore 5 over 2. Make sense to you? Okay, so that's how you analyze if the radius is not equal to 1. And then you need triangle. But the problem is, what if the point is located here? So this time I'm gonna make a y a little bigger. So let's say this is 3 and 7 here, like this. Okay. Then now we are doing so negative 3 and 7 basically. Okay. So which means the given length is 3 and 7 here though. But because it's on the plane graph, so we have to put negative 3 here. Now the radius r equal to 3 square plus 7 square. So 9 plus 49, which is 58. So it's 58 is 2 times 29. So 29 is a prime number. So I'm sure just say r equal to root 58. So root 58 here. Therefore, now based on theta here, sine theta become y over hypotenuse. So we can make 7 over root 58 or 7 root 58 over 58. But cosine theta is negative 3 over root 58 because this order pair is located on the second quadrant. Okay? So the answer is negative 3 root 58 over 58 basically. And tangent the computer is really slow today. I'm waiting. The program is respond. So okay. So tangent theta become y over x. So 7 over negative 3. Okay. So based on that, we can also conclude on cosecant. So cosecant theta means you switch up and down. So root 58 over 7. And secant theta means root 58 over negative 3. And cotangent theta means negative 3 over 7 right there. Okay. So we basically today cover radian value of the 30, 60, 90 angle, and also 45, 45, 90 angle. That's the first part. And secondly, what if the angle is not belong to neither 30, 60, 90, nor 45, 45, 90 case? Then as I told you, we have to use the calculator. Okay, if the angle value given as angle, then you must set up your calculator mode as a degree. If angle value is given as pi value, which is a radian, then you also switch to radian and then measure that. Otherwise, you won't get the correct value. And if the radius is not equal to 1, which means like this plane, the order pair is given from the origin, then you need to using the Pythagorean theorem and using basically sine means y over hypotenuse, cosine means x over hypotenuse, tangent means y over x, and then other cosecant means 1 over sine, so you switch up and down with the sine value. Secant means 1 over cosine, so switch up and down using the cosine theta, and cotangent means you are doing x over y. Okay. All right, so that's all today about the lesson. And then from now on, I'm gonna get some questions and then briefly also explain your Monday exam. So let me pause.